everybody. Welcome to Rachel's Reviews and the Rose Scopers. And we're continuing on in my series where we're talking with the animators of Sundance. And today we have the director of the new animated short at Sundance, Paradise Man 2. We have Jordan Michael Blake here. And Jordan, thank you so much for coming and talking with us.
Yeah, thanks so much. Thanks for so much for having me.
Yeah. So, what we like to do for new guests on the podcast is give you a chance to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what inspired you to get into animation.
Yeah, my name is Jordan. Director guy. I
Or
started
to film in
to,
general.
yeah. Okay, so film, that's a little easier. I grew up Mormon, and I am not Mormon anymore, but on Sundays we'd have to go to church for 3 hours. And so after church, my family had a tradition where we would always watch a movie together. So we go to Blockbuster, we'd rent a movie, and it just became ingrained as like something that was nice. That was like a good part of my day because church was can be pretty boring sometimes. And so I'd go home
Yeah.
and we'd watch a movie and yeah, I just loved movies. I because of that sort of.
Yeah. Oh, I love hearing that. I'm Mormon too, so I can
Oh,
relate.
nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I can get that. Uh, but I mean, I'm jealous because my parents aren't interested in movies at all. Like,
Yeah,
or
well, then it's just like it's a family day, so
yeah,
the parents were still, making sure that we were
yeah.
keeping Sabbath, but also,
We were lucky because my parents were not like particularly strict, and so we were allowed to watch The Simpsons on Sunday.
oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, which was like a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, The Simpsons is my basic touchstone for all of human culture. So.
Yes, it's true. So yeah, I get it. I really do. So did you have out of that experience, did you have particular films that especially inspired you?
I mean, that's a good question. A lot of the times, the movies that attracted me the most were something that maybe scared me, honestly.
Oh, it's like scary movies.
No, they weren't even the scary movies. They were just movies that affected me. So, like, a good example is the movie A Little Princess. Do you know that movie?
Oh, yeah.
Movie's
Alfonso
so
Cuarón.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alfonso Cuarón, amazing movie. Obviously, I
Yeah.
didn't at the time when I was watching it, but there's a scene where they show the dad who's going off to World War I or whatever, and so it's just like a quick shot of this otherwise like basically normal kids movie, but it's the dad who she loves, who you love so much because you've been watching the movie, like in the trenches and like stuff's going off. And because I didn't know anything, I was just a kid. I was like, oh, when I grow up, because I guess I'm a boy, I have to go to World War I and fight in a trench and like leave my family behind.
Yeah.
So like that scared me. And that movie stuck with me forever.
Yeah.
Edward Scissorhands is another one that I
The
got.
Little Princess is a movie that like traumatized a generation because my I have a younger brother who's way younger than me, and he's always been like a very sensitive soul.
Yeah.
And whenever anything was like remotely sad in a movie, he would like get so upset. And that movie like broke him. Like he couldn't
Yeah.
deal with it.
That's good stuff, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Like, oh.
I felt the same way as a kid,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny. So what was your journey like in getting to a point where you actually made a film or made films? Did you go to film school? What did you do?
I did go to film school, but yeah, the next step, I guess, was that I was really into gadgets as a kid. Like Palm Pilots were a big deal at the time, and I just thought that idea was so cool, or just anything that was gadgety I was into. So I asked for a camera. It's like $200 high eight camcorder for Christmas one year. And after I got it, I was sort of obsessed with the camera, and I would basically just make spoofs with my cousins.
Oh, fun.
So then it just became that in high school, I sort of ended up being like the one of the film guys at my high school, just because we had a film class, and I would make movies and then the film teacher would show them to all the other classes, and then people started to know who I was basically just because I was making those movies. And yeah, that became so fun. I just hang out with all my best friends, put on silly costumes, run around with the camera, and then people at school knew who I was a little bit more. So that's kind of an intoxicating combo, I think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, so this Paradise Man, you developed it during the pandemic, is that right?
Yeah, it was the tail end of the pandemic, but it was definitely um it was being conceived, while I was still living sort of the pandemic lifestyle. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
is spending a lot of time inside. And then in my case, because I was stuck inside going on these long road trips in my truck, which is still, inside, but or still alone, still solitary, but I was traveling all around and looking at stuff, and it was nice.
Yeah. Cool. So the movie is made out of animated GIFs, is that right?
It is.
Yeah. So what? Explain that. What's going on?
Yeah, I guess I was part of this editing collective fully in the pandemic that was called Racer Trash, and basically the idea of that collective was to take a popular movie that already exists and then divvy it up into essentially like 10-minute segments and have a bunch of editors re-edit that segment in whatever way they wanted to,
Huh.
and then
Yeah.
put the whole movie back together and stream it live on Twitch so that people had something to watch during the pandemic.
Huh.
And it was super fun, and everybody was super talented. And basically, I just started repurposing stuff a lot. In that process, I sort of was like, oh, I can take a scene that's cut one way, change it all around, and I can tell a different story. And people just got very um, people were using footage in ways I hadn't seen before and using screen recordings of their computers, manipulating the footage that you were seeing them make the segment while you were watching the segment, and just being adventurous with the way that they were retooling everything. That I started to think, like, what if I did a similar thing, but instead of taking 10 minutes of a movie that already exists, I took an entire stock animated GIF website and used those to reappropriated those to tell my own story. Could I go that far with it? Because there was sort of a cap on how far the racer trash thing could go, just because obviously all those movies that we were re-editing are copyrighted. So
Right. Yeah.
I was like, I could kind of use this same skill, take it further maybe, and make a movie in this way that I'm not sure I've seen before. And it was exciting to see if I could make that work.
Uh-huh. So how did you decide what GIFs to use and compile them all together and everything? What was that process like?
It's just whatever made me laugh, really. Like initially, the guy is so funny. The main little character, just the way that he like moves or whatever he's doing. I just would I'd run through I'd look for, so if I'm doing something about, there's a romantic beat, I would just type love or relationships into the search bar on the stock image website, and then whatever made me laugh, I would download that and then start plugging and playing and seeing which things, when they combined, kind of told a story.
Wow. So do you consider yourself an animator?
I um, yeah, it's a little loaded, just because I respect animation so much. It's new for me. It's very exciting, and that's where my creative efforts are being focused right now. I come from live action, but I always would have loved to make animations, and I made some animations in college, but
Oh.
I just don't know how to draw. So so this was a way for me to be able to do something I've always wanted to do, even
Yeah.
though I don't know how to draw.
Well, what do you hope people take away from the short
Oh
after
God.
watching it?
Um, whatever somebody wants to take away from it is good. But my intention is just to create an environment where it feels like maybe somebody else understands what it's like to be a perfectionist or have sort of like a rigid idea of what success looks like in your life, on one hand. And then on the other hand, it's a lot of the questions that the mom asks.
Well, yeah, so the mom is a character and then the mom dies.
Yes, spoiler.
Spoiler. Was that like a personal connection at all or
My mom is not dead,
oh
uh,
good.
which is very nice, which is
That's
very
good.
nice. But she had a breast cancer scare, and also I had a friend whose mom was having some strokes at the time, and my grandma had some strokes, and she passed. So I was thinking a lot about um, what it was going, how I could make sure that I would be okay when my mom, whenever that does happen, just because it's gonna happen someday, and my mom and I both know it, and she's been a big part of my life. So I thought
Yeah.
it would be something important kind of to try to process, in advance. And
Yeah.
also, I lost a lot of people in the pandemic in general.
Oh,
And so I was expressing my grief for that through this particular story, but it's not directly autobiographical.
mm. So you say in there that depression is regular.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
It is regular. There's so many people that are depressed. It's such a regular thing to be depressed. And I just, besides the fact that it's kind of a funny joke, in the movie, I think that that helps,
Uh-huh.
for me, the biggest, the primary symptom of being when I am in a depression is that um, I don't think it'll end. And so a movie like this, that normalizes depression and also sort of leads you towards the other side of it, um, I thought would be nice to make.
Yeah. I liked the line about that life is if life is the highway, should we ride it all night long? That was a pretty good joke.
Yeah, you got to take the wisdom from the masters.
Yeah. Who's the voice of Paradise Man in the movie?
The voice of Paradise Man is a combination of a few different voices, but it's basically just the voice that you can use, that you can get your Mac to read text
Oh,
on the
okay.
screen.
Uh-huh.
There's a gigantic amount of editing work that has been done to all those. Um, and when I was writing them, I would have to write out each sentence. It like looked like complete gibberish because you have to spell things differently in order to get to voice to say it the way that I had in my head. But yeah, it's just a text to speech robot, basically.
Yeah. Okay. I wondered about that. Well, very good. I think it's a very unique, different kind of short. And so if somebody were going to ask you advice for if they say they want to make an animated film, they want to submit it to Sundance, what would be your advice to them?
Oh, do it if you want to. I don't know how easy it is to give any one person, or a group of people advice, because I just feel like I made so many short films until this one got in. So
Just don't
uh,
give up.
if you want to not give up, then don't give up. But it's hard, and if it's not satisfying to make the films in and of themselves, then maybe do give up, because otherwise it's challenging.
Yeah,
It's a
I see what you're
challenging road
saying.
to go. So for me, I found that with this movie in particular, I had really divorced myself from expectations or from outcomes. which is really what the movie's about, actually, in terms of that perfectionist thing, is like the main character wants to hit a hole in one, and when that becomes when he just wants to play golf kind of at the end instead of achieve one specific
Yeah.
goal, then that's better.
He's
And
like, this is ridiculous. Why did I
it's
even want this? Like, yeah.
yeah, exactly. It's like silly, and I think most filmmakers probably spend a lot of their time, I know I did, trying to get into this one film festival. For 10 years, for me, this was my goal to get in. And you know, when I when I divorce myself from the outcome, that's not going to happen every time, but in this instance for me, I did do that, and somehow for some reason that's the one where it worked out. So
Did you freak out when you got the call?
it was really surreal. It was really, really surreal.
Yeah.
I did dance around in the street. I was driving, and it felt like it was unsafe to drive all of a sudden. It was like I was probably driving much worse than someone who's had like 10 beers.
It's funny.
Um, so I pulled over kind of as soon as the call was done, and I started dancing around the street. And one guy who drove by, who had no idea what was going on, just like gave me like a big thumbs up because he could tell I was just stoked. And yeah,
Yeah.
that was really awesome.
He's like, there's joy there. Hey.
Yeah, go for joy.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
Well, we like to end our interviews with some fun, get to know you quick questions.
Okay.
First one is, what is the best ice cream flavor?
Oh, honestly, this is a terrible answer, but vanilla bean, not French vanilla. I can't mess with French vanilla, but sometimes a
Okay.
vanilla bean,
Oh, okay.
that stuff hits. Or lavender. That's like a fancy answer, but lavender ice cream I'm really into.
Oh, you like the flowers
Yeah, I guess this
flavors.
is
Yeah.
true.
Okay. What's your favorite color?
Blue.
Blue?
There's a shade of blue in Punch Drunk Love that is in the office. That's my favorite shade of blue.
Oh, okay, good. What music are you into?
Oh, all of it. I am a huge music guy. All the music is my favorite music. But I like Van Morrison a lot in the 80s when
Okay.
he was messing around with synthesizers and getting into new age self-help. I think that's a good thing.
Was it fun putting together the music for the short?
Yeah, it was a blast. I mean, the music is vital. Every single line of dialogue and every visual thing that happens is completely timed like meticulously to the way the music is working. It's really fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool. All right. What is your go-to date night food?
Thai food.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
Thai food.
What's your go-to date night activity if you're going out doing something?
Going out,
Yeah, doing something.
try to keep it fresh. I try to,
Uh-huh.
I don't have a go-to. I don't have a go-to, but seeing friends, whatever our friends are up to. I mean, that's not a date, but it kind of feels like a date to me anytime
Uh-huh.
go out with my girlfriend.
Yeah, I guess then you could get feedback too. Be like,
Yeah, that's
this
true.
one a keeper. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. All right, which do you like better, dogs or cats?
Oh, that's interesting. Um, I'm getting really swayed towards cats lately. My girlfriend has a cat. I grew up with cats, and then so I grew up fantasizing about wishing I could have a dog. Um, but recently, yeah, I feel like dogs are just a little too willing to give it up always. I like the relationship I am building.
Well, no, that's what I always say is that cats you have to earn their love. Dogs
Yeah.
just give it
Yeah, and it feels good
freely.
to put in the time and then to
Yeah.
get them to their little paws that are sitting on your shoulder. It's the best.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, which do you like better, beaches or mountains?
Mountains, which is crazy. I grew up pretty close to the beach, really, but um, mountains in the day, beach at night. That's my answer.
Oh, yeah, that's a good answer. What's your favorite holiday to celebrate?
Christmas trope.
Yeah.
It's trite, but it's Christmas for
It's
me.
hard to beat Christmas because it's like a whole season,
I know.
where
It's
the
so
other ones are just a day or maybe a week.
okay.
Is what is your favorite animated film ever?
Um, Favorite animated movie ever. I'm gonna go with something by Miyazaki.
Hmm.
I'm gonna go trite with this one as well and say just say Spirited Away because
Yeah,
it hits a certain spot.
I love
But
that one
Princess
too.
Mononoke is amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Good choices. Well, you did it. You answered all questions.
All right, we did it.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. And if you do you have social media or anything like that you want to share?
Yeah, I am at Jordan Michael Blake on Instagram. And other than that, I'm not really on anything.
Okay, great. Well, we'll share that in the description. And congrats on the short and getting into Sundance. That's so exciting.
Thanks so much.
Are you a fan of Rachel's Reviews? Do you look forward to Family Movie Night, Female Film Critics panels, or the Talking Disney podcast? If so, please consider supporting the podcast by becoming a Patreon. As a patron, you get to access monthly events such as the watch-alongs and Q&As, where you get to talk to stars and find out the behind the scenes of the movie making industry. And you can pick what I review for Family Movie Night or even become a guest on the podcast. Podcasts and YouTube channels are expensive, and I really, really could use your help. I would so appreciate it. You also get to be a member of the Facebook group where we talk about all the films that we're seeing, and we have so much fun. Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies and select one of the Rachel's fan tiers. That's patreon.com/hallmarkies.
I'd like to thank Jordan for coming on the podcast. This was so much fun to get to talk with him and meet him. Let us know what you think about all the things we talked about. I'd really appreciate in the comment section or on Twitter. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews all over the place. Make sure you check out Rotoscopers. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. Really appreciate that. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Appreciate that. We have our Patreon group, which is the biggest way you can support everything we do and get to be part of things like this, like Sundance, and you're going to support that. And we try to give some really good perks. So please take a look at that. And we have the merch store where we have our Festival Girl merch. So if you don't want to spend the big prices for Sundance merch, check out that. Plus, we have hashtag Animation Junkie shirts. And I'm an animation girl. Lots of fun stuff over at the merch store. So check that out. And thanks again to Jordan, and we'll talk to y'all later. Bye.